What is going on, guys, and welcome to another video with your host, as always, K-Mac Time. Now, if you're anything like me and are new to the NES collecting, then it can be sometimes hard to find games that are both fun and affordable. That's why I've teamed up with my good buddy Wood from his channel, The Beat 'em Ups, to bring you our top 10 hidden gems on the NES. Now, these games are games you may have never heard of or would never think to pick up, but are actually some of the cooler and funnest games on the system, in our opinions. So let's go ahead and jump right in with the game that is near and dear to my heart, TALESPIN. Now, this was one of my favorite cartoons growing up, and Capcom did a great job with this game. It's basically a flying platformer of sorts, but the thing that really made this game stand out is how you can turn around and reverse the stage. You can actually go left in a platformer, and that may not seem like a big deal in today's age, but back then it was something new and interesting and hadn't really been done all that much before. On top of that, the game looks and sounds great. Of course, Capcom in the NES days was known for making quality games, and this is no exception. Now, the goal of the game is to fly through the stages while picking up as much cargo as possible, then defeating an end boss. Depending on how much cargo was delivered, then you get money to spend on upgrading airplane with weapons, armor, and other power-ups. This game actually has a surprising amount of depth in it despite being a kid's cartoon, and it's actually pretty freaking challenging. It's not an easy game to beat. You can actually pick up a game of this game loose for around $10, and it's definitely worth it. Now, this next game is actually a trilogy of games on the NES, and all three are incredibly good. The Adventures of Lolo 1, 2, and 3 are some of my favorite puzzle games I've ever played on any system. They actually are made by HAL Laboratory, the same people behind Earthbound, Super Smash Bros., and Kirby, among many other Nintendo greats. These games tend to be overlooked by many, but are incredibly good. The puzzles eventually get to be very challenging and make you think outside the box, and are a good blend of an adventure game mixed with a puzzle game. The first installment of the game is the cheapest, and you can get it for around $15. Now, the second and third game in the series are a bit pricey and can command high premiums because they are kind of rare and kind of sought after by collectors. So I recommend trying out the first one, and if it's something that you like, then you can actually track down copies of the sequels like I have and play them. They are so good. You will not recommend this game enough to your friends. So good.
Now, if you're looking for a cheap NES game to fill the shelf, the next two games, they're probably not for you, but they're both really fun. Metal Storm is a run and gun type game that can get very difficult at times, kinda similar to Contra but with one really interesting gimmick. At the touch of a button, you can switch gravity and bounce from the floor to the ceiling. Doing so allows you to evade attacks, reach areas otherwise unattainable, destroy enemies, or simply platform throughout the levels. It's a really smooth transition and is a ton of fun to use. With epic boss battles, this game has something different to offer in each stage. This game is one of my personal favorites for the system, and I highly recommend it if you can pick it up cheap. Good luck with that though. Bucky O'Hare, another pricey game for the system. Developed by Konami in their golden days, this game offered more to fans of the action platformer variety than any other, with 5 different playable characters, each with their own abilities and attacks, extreme level diversity, so many twists and turns in gameplay, but it is hard. I want to say too hard, stupidly hard. Bucky O'Hare defines trial and error, but regardless of that, it's still super entertaining, really fun, and certainly a must-play.
My next game is Tubin by Tengen. This is a simple game, but it's loads of fun. You basically just float down a river in a big inner tube while trying to avoid obstacles and pick up bonuses and power-ups. It seems easy at first, but once it starts to pick up, it actually gets pretty freaking challenging. You can even pick up beer cans to throw at fishermen whose line will pop your tube while trying to avoid whirlpools and rapids. This game is full of character and charm, and it's simple to pick up and play right away. And on top of that, its controls are very tight and responsive, and the game looks and sounds pretty good for the time it was released. Again, this game sells for around $10, so it won't break your bank to pick up a copy and hit the rapids. Another game that seems to fly under many people's radars is North and South, made by Kemco Seika. This game is based on the American Civil War. The player basically acts out the Civil War, choosing to play as either the North or the South. The player may choose the year to start in from 1861 to 1864. Each year has a different array of armies and states that each side starts with. What makes this game so cool is that it's a strategy game mixed with an action game. So you can actually have these top-down map tactical views where you try to take over states and make tactical moves, but it then jumps into these action platformer scenes or these battle scenes where you control all 3 different phases of the army. It's actually really cool, and it's really well done. This game is pretty challenging on hard settings and can lead to hours of tactical chess-like gameplay that never seems to disappoint. Now this one is a tad pricier than the games I've talked about previously and will run you about $35 to $45 to get a copy of it, but it's definitely one you want in your collection.
Totally Rad is absolutely a hidden gem for the system, no matter what you've probably heard. So many people fail to realize that from the moment you start playing this game, you can press select and choose from any of the many power-ups and suit changes the game has to offer. Some of the suit changes, it feels like playing with a completely different character. In most other games like Mega Man, which this game is obviously based on, you earn your power-ups as you go. Not in Totally Rad. You get them all from the start, the very start of the game, and failing to realize this, most players, they end up thinking the game is boring or broken or impossible and tell other players not to bother. Even most reviewers and Let's Players online haven't seemed to figure this out yet. So the game, it gets penalized and shoved into categories such as worst NES games of all time, but if you hit that simple button, the game becomes an entertaining, challenging, colourful adventure with a ton of 90s charm and corny dialogue that I'm proud to say I've finished and loved every moment of it. Is it better than Mega Man? God, no, but it offers a lot that Mega Man doesn't and is very entertaining in its own right. I certainly recommend giving this game another try, or a first try if you haven't already. It's cheap and pretty common. Archon is an NES game that a lot of people don't appreciate, but is a true hidden gem. Taking the game of chess and adding different creatures to it might sound a bit odd, but instead of capturing pieces, you battle in real time. What makes it interesting is even weak pieces like a standard knight can defeat a strong character like a dragon if you are precise enough with your attacks. The game focuses on light versus dark, with spots on the map you can control to give your team more health. It is an interesting take on the strategy board game genre that is wildly unappreciated on the NES.
And finally, a game that not many people are talking about is Maniac Mansion. Now, this is a point-and-click graphic adventure game which is actually developed by Lucasfilm Games, of all people. And now, this is Wood's favorite NES game of all time, so I'm actually going to let him break this game down for you.
What can I say about this game to do it justice? From wonderfully vibrant graphics to countless areas to explore, tons of replayability due to all the different ways you can complete the game depending on which of the 7 playable characters you choose to party with, each character having their own theme tune, which, by the way, this game has some of the best music for the system hands down. This game is full of humor and fun, brought to you by the amazing company that was Lucasfilm. This game creeped me out as a kid, it made me feel uneasy. Nowadays, it's just a fun adventure game that I can pick up and play anytime. 10 out of 10, the best, I love it. If you enjoy point-and-click adventure games, you need to try this one. My final game for this list wasn't actually released in America, in fact it was only released in certain places in Europe. It's an action platformer game called Mr. Gimmick. You attack by throwing a star from Mr. Gimmick's head, but this attack isn't like anything I've seen in other NES games. This star will bounce through enemies and rebound off walls and other objects. Its trajectory changes depending on the height and speed of Mr. Gimmick at the time he throws it, working on what seems to be like a very early physics engine and not something I'm used to seeing in these old school games. With some practice and good timing, you can also ride the star and use it to reach other areas. It is an incredibly enjoyable platformer and certainly a hidden gem, due to it only being released in, well, very few places. If you live in the States, I would recommend picking up a repo card of this game.
Now that was just our list of hidden gems. There are hundreds and hundreds of games on the NES, and I would love to hear what some of your favorite hidden gems are on the system in the comment section below. But thank you guys for watching this video, and thanks to Wood for coming on and helping me out with this video. Really do appreciate him coming on over to the channel.
If you guys like this video, you'd probably like our top 10 Super Nintendo hidden gems video. I mean, I'm just assuming. And you can go see that on my channel. You can click the link here on the screen or in the description below. It'll be there. Thanks again, K-Mac. I really appreciate you having me on. And yeah, see you guys next time, maybe. Or maybe not. Make sure you check out that other video. It's a good one. I like it. You guys probably will too. Subscribe to me while you're there. I appreciate it.